Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Rob Mods here. Man, it has been a crazy couple of days in game and with just a lot of stuff going on. So, those of you who haven't been caught up, they released the 5.1 release notes, the update notes today, which is really exciting, but obviously kind of interesting circumstances surrounding that. So, obviously, a lot of people are pretty frustrated with it, and as am I. It is what it is. There's not much we can do about it now. But if you missed it, basically a lot of information from the patch got released early. A lot of it got leaked, and so a bunch of the screenshots that were leaked and a lot of the information was obviously traced back to the person, because if you take screenshots, it shows how many of an item that you have, how many you've crafted, all that kind of stuff. So there's a bunch of us who are in the beta, but only some of us have crafted some items, some of us have some items. And so very clearly they were able to tell who the person was who leaked all of the information. Like, it's right there in front of you. And so this person has been banned from the game, banned from Discord, all that kind of stuff, kicked out of content creator program, obviously. It's really unfortunate because obviously the rest of us have been tight-lipped and we've been in the beta, but we haven't said anything because we want to be respectful and honoring of the program, of the company, of the game, of the community, and then somebody does something like this. So it is really frustrating for those of us who've been trying to be honoring and respectful and mindful of everything and not do stuff like this, and then somebody basically leaks all of the information to only a select few people, but then it gets widely spread. And this morning I see a screenshot of somebody who basically had the entirety of the information with the new patch. So really frustrating for a lot of us, and I'm sure really frustrating for Kabam as well. So the release notes weren't supposed to be released today. They weren't going to release them until next week, but they basically said today in a public statement, this is an unfortunate situation. This, you know, we're going to deal with this the best that we can, but we want to give all of the players a fair shot and say we want to give you all the information now so that everybody's kind of on the same page and prepared for when the event drops next week. And so we've been given permission to talk about everything that was leaked, which I'm going to talk about right now as well. We'll go through some release notes and just talk about the things that are coming. And then next week, as King's Caprice comes and the new update comes and all that stuff, we'll actually be able to stream and talk about all of the stuff in depth. So let's jump in, let's talk about it, and we'll go from there. So 5.10 release notes, the update is slated for release next week, which is awesome. So tier 10 is here. As we know, the seas churn and quake as a mysterious new dungeon rises from its depths, the Sunken Temple. So it is an underwater themed dungeon, which is really exciting. It's like bright colors and like coral and that sort of stuff, and it actually looks really, really cool. So pretty pumped about that. It's really sweet. New chest, new key, new elemental blueprints, new tier, all that kind of stuff. So everything new, just like when tier 9 dropped. Brand new, basically entire section of the game, which is awesome. So excited to see all that stuff. I'm going to talk in a little bit once we finish release notes about the other specific stuff that was leaked towards that, because we've been given permission to talk about it so that it's fair that everybody sees it kind of together. So next thing, seed rework. So previously with heroes, you could give them up to 40 seeds, any attack, defense, or health seeds. And so that's been reworked so that every hero can get 40 of each seed, and you can see how many that you've given them and that sort of stuff. So 120 seeds total. So that kind of takes that mystery out of the game, because you couldn't even see what seeds that you've given certain heroes. So pretty cool, introducing something brand new into the game in terms of kind of giving heroes a little bit of a buff there, which is cool. Ascension milestones extended. So the milestones end at 27 stars right now. That's going to be extended to more stars to give more buffs for those. So spending less crafting, more gold from surcharging, that sort of thing. So yeah, pretty cool. Lots of items to be ascended in each line now, which is awesome. Guild perks extended as well, which we kind of knew was coming. So obviously the guild level is going to need to be a lot higher. The highest level is 200 right now. I don't know how much of that is actually utilized by the new update, but resource regeneration, bigger stack size, a bunch of different stuff is coming, but really cool. I think guilds are really going to have to balance now between do I run like the ongoing normal like resource regeneration and XP and all that kind of stuff, quest boost, or do we save up all of our renown and go towards more of like the long-term guild perks that are now in the game? So it'll be interesting to see what people decide to do along that. Next is Lost City of Gold Plus. So they've unlocked a brand new difficulty of Lost City of Gold, which is awesome, which I'm really excited for. So still the tier 7 to 9 Lux blueprints will be available at the normal difficulty. And then there's going to be a tier 10 opulent blueprint, which is only craftable with opulent jewels. Which you're only able to get when you complete the entirety of Lost City of Gold at the higher difficulty. So that'll be really exciting. That won't be in the Lost City of Gold coming this weekend, but it will be in the month following. So that's pretty sweet. Starter pack blueprint. So as you guys know, when you first started the game, you got an offer within the first 24 hours for kunai. And now there's going to be a couple new early game blueprints. For late game players, these new blueprints will be available in the King's Caprice shop as well going forward, as long as you've been playing more than 3 months. So yeah, pretty sweet. You'll be able to get those as we go forward as well. King's Carriage, this is pretty funny. As you saw when King's Caprice started, in the loading screen there was that big King's Carriage, and we were like, oh, is this going to be in the game? So they have added it to the game. If you've been Royal Merchant for 12 months or more, so 11 plus months, you now have this as a decoration that you can put on the front lawn of your shop, and you'll have a big carriage. And yeah, it sounds pretty sweet, so that's awesome. Haven't seen it yet myself, but I'm sure it's pretty cool. Steam achievements have finally been unlocked. This is something that's been reported as a bug since the start of Steam release, but achievements have finally actually been activated. So right now I have 83 out of the 100 achievements, but those are working now, so that's cool. Steam Guild Chat is now a thing. I haven't looked at it. I don't know how it works. I know the majority of guilds right now just have their own Discord server. That's how we function as a guild, but this is another option for guilds to be able to chat, so that's pretty sweet. Some balance changes. King's Caprice timers are now longer, allowing time to make use of each individual caprice. So during King's Caprice, the timers for a certain item was either half an hour, 1 hour, or an hour and a half. So now those timers have changed to be longer, which I think a lot of people will be pretty happy with. Not sure at this point if there's still going to be a lot of overlap with resource types, because in the past, a few times I saw it that, like, let's say only stone items or only wood items were offered as a King's Caprice, so the other 3 types of your resources were apparently useless during that period of time. So not sure if that's going to switch or not, but at this time it just says that the timers are going to be increased. Recycling items will now grant resources based on modified resource cost. So basically what that means is that once you've mastered an item, for most blueprints, the tier 1 and tier 2 and sometimes even tier 3 resources will be decreased in order for you to craft that item. So then if you go back and destroy that item later on, you're only going to get resources back based on how you craft the item, not just the base resources for that item. So they've just changed a little bit of how much resources you're able to get back, which is cool. And then gather component bounties will now actually ask for components relevant to your current progression. So you're not going to get bounties that are higher than your level for the most part. So that's a nice change, especially for lower level players. Some major changes: pet food. So currently, as you know, at the highest level of pet, it costs 500,000, 1 million, and 1.5 million for the tier 1, 2, and 3 pet foods. And that has to happen every 12 hours. So it's a lot of money down the drain. So now they've changed it. The normal pet food, which is the base amount of experience, is now free, which is awesome. The second level, which is double the experience, is now 500,000 gold. So just the base gold value. And then the highest one is actually a gem value instead. So if you want to get triple the experience for your pets, it's going to cost you gems. But this is kind of a nice change where instead of having just 3 different gold values, it just gives you free gold or gems. So you can kind of invest into your pets however you want. So that's pretty cool. Gem help they've changed. I think some of the biggest changes that they've made in this patch, especially these next 2, are really trying to crack down on fraud. I think there's been a lot of questionable things happening in terms of people transferring gems, paying for gems outside of game, illegal gems getting into the game, people doing chargebacks, just all of the stuff that happens when people are abusing the game and not using it for the way that it's intended and trying to get themselves ahead. For example, content creators who abuse their privileges, which of course all of us are frustrated with. And so I think this is just trying to reduce the amount of fraud that's happening in the game, where you're not going to be able to just jump into a guild, pay for a ton of upgrades, and then jump out of the guild, right? Like, people can't do that anymore. And I'm sure if you just made a low level account, got it to a certain level, joined a guild, you had 500 gems that you got for free at the start of the game, rush a bunch of upgrades and kick the dude, right? Like, there's a lot of things that people were probably doing to abuse this. And so now you have to be level 10 in a guild before you can pay for upgrades with gems, which I think is a really good move. And this is the last super major change, is that enchantments are no longer on the market. This is the biggest change, and I think the one that people are going to be talking about the most and probably get frustrated with the most or whatever. But I think it's a great move. So let's look at what they're proposing and what they're saying. So enchantment removal warning and reasoning. So basically what this means is that any item that has an enchantment on it will no longer be sellable in the market. You cannot list an item with an enchant on it. The reason for this is that, as they say here, 1.65% of equipment trades were by enchanted items, but they've found fraudulent transactions of gems through like really specific bizarre enchantment types in market that have summed up to millions of gems, which is really unfortunate. But let's say somebody pays for gems illegally, for third-party gems or whatever. They list an item for like 1,000 gems that's like a normal item with a really weird combination of ascension or of enchantments that nobody's going to buy, but this third-party person is just going to buy it for a ridiculous amount of gems to transfer the gems to that account. And so people have been obviously doing this a lot, and they're wanting to reduce the amount of abuse that's happening in the game, the amount of fraud that's happening in the game, and so this is a necessary change. Obviously, it sucks. It reduces the amount that people are able to do in the market. It makes it a lot more streamlined, a lot simpler, a lot less that we can do in terms of trying to make a little bit more gems from enchanted items and that sort of thing. Like, obviously it's not ideal, but as people abuse the game, as people use it for not its intended purpose, they need to make changes to the game to make it fair for everybody. And so I think this is a necessary change. I think it's going to be interesting in terms of them changing like how the market functions. I think the element prices are going to go up, like the enchantment prices are going to go up, because you can't buy an item that's already enchanted. You're going to have to buy the item and buy the enchantment and enchant it yourself. And so it'll be really interesting to see what happens with prices. But they have explained kind of how this works. So can we still sell spirits and elements? Of course, that's exactly the same. They've also added an option for you to remove an enchantment from an item. So let's say you open a chest and you get a legendary item with like a really bad enchantment on it. You can remove that enchantment and sell the item. The enchantment is going to be gone, it's going to disappear, but you can still sell the item on the market without an enchantment on it, so you can still get gems out of it. The item's not just entirely a waste, you can still get value out of it, but not with the gems on it. So that's kind of a workaround, and I like it. It's good. There will be some enchanted items on the market for a couple days after, probably because they have to wait for all the timers on those to run out. So potentially for up to 2 days after the update drops, there will be still items on the market for 2 days, because that's the highest timer that you can have. But once those timers have run out, that'll be it for enchanted items on the market. That's pretty much it for that. If you have any questions, just let me know. Pretty simple. So the last thing that I want to look at here is the information that was leaked. Now, of course, as soon as I saw this, I was pretty angry with the whole situation and that somebody would do this and whatever, but Kabam has given us permission to be able to share this information publicly, to be able to talk about it, because it's not fair if just a handful of people see it and know about it, and it's just on certain servers or whatever, certain top guilds, and everybody else has no idea what's happening. So I'm going to talk through it, kind of show you what was put out there. Not that I endorse it or condone it or think positively of it at all, but just so that we're all on a safe playing field together, or an even playing field, I should say. So let's look at it. So release date 6th of October. So most likely this event or this update will be coming out on Tuesday, which is the same day that Caprice would be coming out, unless there's changes to that we don't know about. And so most likely this is coming out on Tuesday. Base value of items for tier 10 is 600 to 650k. Surcharge energy cost without 10% is 1800. Around 45 to 51 stars per ascension tree. Surcharge values 5% bonus and 1% for all trees if you get up to 51 stars. And so obviously a long way to go from 27 all the way up to 51, because you're going to have to be ascending like the tier 8s, the tier 9s, just to get up to that number. So it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out. New dungeon, new mats, of course, like we know. Inn and tavern are going to be increased in their level cap, but that's been the same at tier 8 and tier 9. We knew that. As the new dungeon comes, obviously those buildings need to be upgraded so that you can continue with the boosts and the upgrades for those dungeons. So that'll be coming out as well. And then new guild perks, they've gone into detail here about what the perks actually are. 2% resource regen, +3 or +6 on the market per time that you upgrade it. More resources when filling bins, not just 3 times a day. Harder Lost City and pet food changes. So most of that stuff is in the patch notes. You can see most of that stuff, but they've just given some more details. Like Kabam was not going to release these patch notes until next week, obviously right before it's going to go live like they always do. But they put something out publicly today, basically just apologizing for the situation and releasing these early so that everyone can see them, read through them, and kind of know what all of us are getting into together. So as I said, yeah, unfortunate situation, frustrating situation, not much we can do now. Props to Kabam for handling the situation and for them allowing us even to be part of something like a beta and a content creator program to let us have a voice into the game as it evolves. And thank you to them for all of their work and all that stuff. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have questions or whatever, please feel free to comment here, message me on Discord. I'll try to answer whatever questions that I can. And if not, I'll answer everything else on stream on Tuesday as the event goes live and I'm streaming, and we can do everything together. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you're as excited as I am for next week. Hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Peace out.